How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob 1000, and in this video, we're going to focus on the next few snowstorms that are expected to move through the Midwest as well as the Northeast, and we could even see some of those snowstorms move as far south as the Southeast to bring major snow in those areas. But first, let's take a look at the current snowstorm that's currently impacting the Midwest. As you can see, we do have a pretty large area of snowfall extending through Kansas, Nebraska. Omaha is about to enter a heavy snow band as of the time of making this video, so make sure to watch out over there. Iowa is getting involved with some moderate snowfall, and now the snowfall is going to begin to approach Chicago, as the Chicago area could expect anywhere between 6 to 10 inches of snowfall. And just to the west of Chicago, where the temperatures will be a little bit colder, you should expect even more than that, and localized areas of over a foot of snow. And then if we were to look at the south, of course the Southeast is dealing with a severe weather threat. There's plenty of instability for this humidity to work with, the warm air mass to work with, for plenty of convective activity to occur, to a point where we're going to see severe weather in the Southeast, and the threat of tornadoes and damaging winds will certainly be a possibility with some of these supercell thunderstorms. So make sure to watch out. And also flash flooding. Look at the yellows and the red shades right over the Southeast. That represents very heavy rainfall, and that rainfall is going to move fairly slowly. So flash flooding is likely in a lot of these areas in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi. So watch out there. But this rain will eventually change over the snow the further northward it moves, which means that you should expect very heavy snowfall right over Michigan, Chicago, northern Illinois, and northern Indiana, and Ohio over the next few hours. So here's the additional snowfall you should expect as the storm system continues ahead. Further eastward, we see that Chicago should expect right around 3 to 6 inches of snowfall, but I wouldn't be surprised if that area of heavier snow moves a little bit further eastward, thanks to the fact that this storm system is moving a little bit further eastward than anticipated. So Chicago might be in for a little bit more snow than anticipated from this storm system. Milwaukee should expect anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snowfall, and then extending into Des Moines and Kansas City, you should expect a similar amount on top of the snowfall you've already experienced in those areas. So many areas in northern Missouri, Iowa, and northern Illinois should expect over a foot of snow. This extends into northern Michigan as well. Detroit could get involved with maybe around 1 to 3 inches. And then, of course, the interior Northeast, especially further northward into Maine and New Hampshire, that's where you should expect close to a foot of snow in cities like Caribou, and extending into other cities like Bangor, and pretty much the entirety of New Hampshire, and the higher elevations of Vermont should expect anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snowfall, as well as the higher elevations of the Adirondacks. Thankfully, the snowfall should change over to rain, so a good deal of the snowfall that has accumulated in those areas should melt. But there still will be plenty of snowfall on the surface, and you definitely need to be aware, at least early on with this storm system, as the snowfall moves through, because it won't be melting until the rainfall comes. So initially speaking, you still need to watch out for heavy snowfall and the roads to be impassable at times right around the northern Northeast. So when it comes to the timing of when you should expect impacts, so Chicago should begin to experience impacts right around the Tuesday morning time frame. That's where you should expect the heaviest snowfall, and it should last all day Tuesday. Same goes for the entirety of northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and then for Iowa and northern Missouri, you guys should still experience very heavy snowfall, as this should extend up until the Tuesday evening time frame, while for the Chicago area, southern Wisconsin, and for northern Michigan, you should expect impacts right up until Wednesday morning. So this will be a long duration event, and look at the purple shades right right in the middle of the area of snowfall. That represents very heavy snowfall that's definitely capable of producing snowfall rates anywhere between 1 to 2 inches per hour, so we definitely need to watch out for that. However, Chicago might get a little bit of a rain intrusion during the middle of the storm system. I'll say that'll happen right around the Tuesday evening time frame, so that should limit the amount of snowfall you will see in Chicago just a little bit, but for the most part, it should still be a major snowstorm for you guys, so you definitely need to be aware of that possibility. And in terms of the Northeast, you should begin to see the snowfall move into the higher elevations of Pennsylvania right around the Tuesday afternoon, the Tuesday evening time frame, and the rain should move into the Northeast. By the way, that's another thing I want to point out. There's going to be an extreme rainfall threat and potentially a major flood threat throughout the eastern half of the United States, especially in the Northeast and portions of the Southeast, where the ground is already pretty oversaturated from the past few recent rainstorms we've been seeing. Just 2 weeks ago in my area, right around northern New Jersey, some of the rivers around my area experienced the worst flooding they've seen since Hurricane Irene back in 2011. So to add even more rain on top of that, where it could dump anywhere between 3 to 5 inches of rain, is certainly a concern, especially if that rainfall falls at a very fast clip to enhance a flash flood risk, which is likely with the storm system, because look at how large the area of yellow is. That represents very heavy rainfall, and it should be the worst right around Tuesday night into the Wednesday overnight hours, and this should extend into New England as well, which makes me very concerned for the flood threat throughout the Southeast as well as the Northeast. If we were to take a look at the forecasted rainfall over the next few hours, so taking a look at that, you're going to see that there's going to be just a ton of rainfall you should expect right up along the eastern half of the United States. You should expect anywhere between 3 to 5 inches of rainfall from this storm system. And what worries me as well is the next few storm systems that should move through. They should bring a heavy amount of rain as well, where you should expect 3 to 5 inches of rain. The certainty is high with this storm system, so I do believe it'll occur, so make sure to be aware of that scenario. Now, in terms of the amount of snowfall you should expect based on what the GFS model is currently forecasting. So from this first storm system, like I said, it's very similar to what my previous snowfall accumulation map stated, so definitely watch out for that. However, what makes me worried over the next week or so, or next 2 weeks I should say, is the fact that we're going to be in a major snowstorm pattern for the Midwest and the Northeast, and the certainty is very high at this point, because while the Midwest just experienced a major snowstorm like you see right here, there's going to be another snowstorm that's going to move in right around this weekend by the Friday time frame, where it's going to develop in a very similar manner as this snowstorm we're currently seeing in the Midwest, and it should impact a lot of the same areas. Look at this. Chicago is experiencing potentially a major blizzard right here. Look at the millibar pressure right around 978 millibars, which is enough to produce very strong winds right around the center of circulation. And of course, look at how large the area of purple is. That shows that this definitely could be a heavy snowmaker and bring very heavy snowfall rates anywhere between 1 to 3 inches per hour, which would bring potentially just major snowfall on top of the snow you've already experienced right over the Midwest. And like I said, the certainty is very high, because as the storm system moves to the east, we're going to see a strong northwesterly flow that's going to keep this cold air right over the United States. And it's expected that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be in a strong polar vortex for the United States, where the jet stream winds will weaken, and that'll allow the cool air that's typically right over the polar regions of the northern hemisphere to move further southward and allow that cold air to stick around and enhance the instability and enhance the possibility of snowstorms, as this low pressure system will contribute to that, and we're going to be in a position where the air pressure will be much lower over the continental United States, while the air pressures over the Pacific and the Atlantic will be much higher. So that's going to focus in a lot of the cold air and instability right over the United States for a major snowstorm pattern to develop, as you see right here, because we see a strong ridge right here that's going to force this low to move to the northeast, but it's going to only enhance the instability and enhance the northwesterly flow to bring the cooler air further southward. And same goes for the Pacific coast, where we see a strong ridge right here that'll help enhance the northwesterly flow and make it much cooler than average over the United States, and that's how we're going to see the snowstorm develop. Now, there's still time for the forecast to change, but the European model and the GFS model are very similar in terms of the trajectory as well as the strength of the storm system and how much snow it'll bring to the United States, which makes me believe that the forecast for the snowstorm is very certain. And even moving beyond that point, we could see a major snowstorm in the northeast, where we do see that there's going to be plenty of cold air for a nor'easter to develop, or a major northeast snowstorm to develop, and plenty of instability as well. We still have a strong ridge right here that's going to force the warm air further southward to interact with this very cool air mass, and that's pretty much just asking for a nor'easter, potentially strong nor'easter to develop, which could bring heavy snowfall to the northeast. In this scenario, the GFS model is expecting this storm system to develop a little bit later, further eastward, to the point where the northeast wouldn't necessarily experience a major northeast snowstorm. But look at the forecast hour I'm going at. This is right around 7 days out, so there's still plenty of time for the forecast to really become more certain, for the computer models to really get a better idea of the development factors with this storm system as it continues to head further eastward. And plus, we've been seeing various computer models in different model runs take a major northeast snowstorm right up along the coastal northeast cities, while we have others like this, they keep going back and forth to a scenario like this, or a major northeast snowstorm that'll bring potentially feet of snow right up along the coast. So the forecast is still definitely very uncertain for the northeast, is my point, and we're definitely going to see major changes over the next several days. But I'll make sure to keep you guys updated once we get a better idea with this forecast. Now, the key thing that'll determine whether or not the northeast would experience a major snowstorm, I do believe that there will at least be some snowfall in the northeast from this storm system. The exact question remains how strong it'll be, who exactly it'll impact, and of course the exact timing of this storm system as it continues to head further eastward. For the northeast coast, I have a better chance of experiencing a major snowstorm. We're definitely going to need to see the perfect position between this ridge as well as the slow to get a good enough position to where it'll be close enough to bring snow to the coastal northeast, but not necessarily close enough to where the warm air would be a little bit too close to the coast. We're definitely going to need to pay close attention to those factors in this scenario. It seems like the GFS model wants to develop this storm system a little bit too far from the coastal northeast, but if we were to take a look at the European model is more confident that we're going to see this storm system move a little bit closer to the coast, but it could be a little bit too close to the coast to a point where it'll be more of a rain event for the coastal northeast cities. So still a lot of time to really iron out this forecast. It's definitely too early to say for certain what's going to happen, but the key thing will be how strong the northwesterly winds will be to determine the exact trajectory of this storm system and how strong the ridging will be, and that'll be determined by how strong this low pressure system is, because believe it or not, The stronger this low pressure system will determine how strong the ridge will be. And more likely the ridge would be stronger if this low pressure system were to be stronger, because with a stronger low pressure system, we see a stronger northerly flow that forces the jet stream a little bit further southward, and that enhances the southerly winds to the point where we would see a little bit more ridging associated with a pretty big hill, I like to call it, in the jet stream for a ridge to develop. So if this low pressure system ends up being a little bit stronger than anticipated, the second snowstorm that's expected to move through the Midwest, and I would expect this ridge to be a little bit stronger, and the chance of a major northeast snowstorm to be much more more likely in a scenario like that. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated once we get a better idea of the forecast. But when it comes to this second Midwest snowstorm, definitely expect a major snowfall in the European model scenario. It is expecting the storm system to move a little bit further eastward than the GFS model, which means that places like Chicago don't necessarily experience as much snowfall because you guys are a little bit too far west to experience a major snow bands, but it's still at least close enough to bring at least a little bit of snow in those in the Chicago area as well as southern Milwaukee. Just not as much as the GFS model. So but I could say with confidence that you guys, a lot of these areas will experience a major snowstorm, including northern Ohio, the entirety of Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, as well as Wisconsin and other areas like Missouri and Kansas. A lot of the same areas that are getting impacted from this current snowstorm. So you should definitely expect plenty of snowfall over the next week or so in these areas. Taking a look at the forecasted snow totals from the European model, look at how large an area of over a foot of snow could be. We clearly see that Chicago would experience maybe close to 20 inches of snowfall over the next week. Same goes for Detroit as well as northern Indiana, as it's certainly going to feel like winter for a lot of these areas after a very dry and warm December. And we could even see the snowfall associated with this third snowstorm move into the southeast, where places like Memphis and Arkansas and Kentucky get involved. I'll certainly keep you guys updated over the next several days. But that's it for now, guys, and I thank you guys for watching.